All right, first live stream here. The beauty of a first live stream is nobody's watching, and if anybody does, sorry. This is something I'm trying out here. In the past, I've done a podcast for my company, and it was really fun. It was interesting, and I like to talk, so it worked out really well. Now I'm giving it a shot with a live stream here on YouTube. I don't really know what I'm doing, so we'll figure out things as we go. But yeah, the purpose of this particular talk, this live stream, came up from a recent conversation I had with a potential client who may end up not being a client. It was an interesting conversation. I've been doing e-commerce for, 23 years now, 22, 23 years. So I've kind of been around the block quite a bit when it comes to various parts of e-commerce. And of course, my specialty is in recurring revenue. So I chat with people and I explain to them, why recurring revenue is important, why it's a good revenue stream if they don't already have, some sort of recurring thing set up. And it's always we get that. Now, they don't always get that enough to want to work with me, but they always understand and get that. And it's funny because out of probably thousands of conversations I've had many aversions, many, well, I don't know about this, well, I don't know about that. But I've never encountered someone who didn't see the value necessarily in the recurring revenue. So I don't want to get too specific because I obviously don't want to single anybody out. And the purpose of this is actually not to pick on this potential client, but more the fact how I was unprepared to respond and how they actually had a good thought process. And so I thought it would be fun to make a video specifically on why recurring revenue is important. So let's talk about it. So this company I chatted with, I was explaining how they can sell more of their product. Their product was a prime product for recurring revenue, and how the initial bump to get to that certain mass of customers is a lot of work. It's not, you don't build a website with e-commerce in tow and then woo, I'm just doing great. I mean, it'd be great if you could do that. I think everybody would spin up an e-commerce site if you could just make money by building one. I remember, this is really dating myself. Back in the day, IBM had a commercial where they had like a small business who, at the very beginning of the commercial, they click a button to push their website live. And then there's a counter up at the top, back when counters were a thing. Nobody uses those hardly anymore. And you see them looking at the counter, and it's 1, 2, and they're kind of getting a little excited. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and all of a sudden they're getting really excited. They're starting to throw a party. It cuts back, and it's at like 100, and then it's at like 1,000, and then they start freaking out because what are we gonna do? 1,000 orders. What are we gonna do? I'll pull this up here. Let me see. I gotta figure out how to, let's see. I'm gonna make my webcam. Reset, transform. It's still really big. What is this green glowy thing too? Is that part of, I don't know if that's coming through to viewers or not, but so we're gonna go to webcam. We're going to shrink that down a bit. Oh yeah, it's part of the webcam. That's weird. Okay. Webcam frame. I see this now. Interesting how this thing is. Do I want a frame on? I'll leave the frame on. Why not? It's something fun. It's actually kind of strangely in the middle, but it's there. And then you can't see this yet because I haven't pushed it live, so forgive me for the silliness, but let's turn on the desktop view, and actually I'm going to add a new screen window capture, Add a source, that's fine. This is one of those things that hopefully someday I'll get this worked out before I do these streams. Okay, so I'm going to transition. This will look funny at first here. Let me open up this. Hopefully this shows full screen. No, it shows cut off. Okay. So how do I... Let's go back to enabling desktop. I'll delete this window capture off. And I'll just have to be careful with what I show. Let's go ahead and transition over to the desktop. So one of the things that I've kind of lost my train of thought as to why I'm coming here. Yeah, that's what it was. It was this paragraph. So on the about page of my website, but it's less an about and more about what it is we are, I guess is a better way to say that. I built basically a company statement that is, as my business grows, it will set the culture of my business and what I care to do and what I want to do, the people I work with, the people I hire. In here, I added this paragraph, and this completely relates to the commercial. And that's this: build it and they will come. That worked great in the Field of Dreams, but in reality, getting people to come to your website and purchase from you is much, much harder and requires expertise and good old-fashioned work ethic. Now, if you're looking for a website, and just because you want a website, or because you think yours is ugly, or whatever the case may be, maybe it's broken and it's not correctly reflecting your business, that's good. You want a good website, but you cannot go towards building a website, whether you're adding e-commerce or not, and expect it to do the work for you. Really, when it comes down to it, I've been to businesses that have, as a matter of fact, I bought a bike. I can't remember the name of the website now, but I bought a bike from the ugliest website I've been to. It looked like it was built in the 80s and hasn't been updated. The e-commerce is horrible. It's a weird PayPal redirect checkout. Yeah, it was just not a modern business website. The company does well and they sell because they have a lot of marketing effort behind it. Now, with a better website, one that looks more trustworthy, one that functions properly, they're going to sell more, but they still do well. And that's in spite of this disgusting website. On the flip side, I've built websites for customers who don't have the time or desire to put marketing into it, and so they have a gorgeous looking website and no traction or very little traction. And so for me, it's always important to be clear up front when I'm talking to somebody that building that website is an important tool, but that's all it is. It's a tool. The tool by itself cannot build a house, if we're using an analogy here. The house needs to be built by someone. Now, obviously, the more master the craftsman, the quicker the house will get built and the better it'll function. But the wood and the nails won't just assemble themselves into a house because you bought a hammer. So not that websites are a hammer. They're a lot more important tool to your business than just a basic tool like that. But even buying a whole set of tools, the house will still not build itself. And in this case, having a perfect, beautiful website doesn't guarantee business. So that IBM commercial that I referenced earlier, I don't know. I don't want to load up commercials and have some kind of DMCA thing, but it was really cool, and it kind of stoked the fire in a lot of people who were like, I can do this. As a matter of fact, back in those days, I was starting off my previous business, and we thought that commercial was like the perfect thing. We wanted that. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. So once you've built your recurring e-commerce system, or have it built, which is one of the things my company does, it's actually our specialty, you still have to put in the legwork. There's going to be, if you're doing the right things and you're working hard at it, you're going to have probably a good year of pushing before you get to a certain growth point to where it starts to kind of grow naturally. Kind of. You're going to be not well off if you just let it grow naturally, but you can start to see the signs of a chugging system. My past business, I've talked about it a lot. I had a coffee roasting company, and we built a subscription system that was ahead of its time. Now, subscription coffee is everywhere. You can get it everywhere. Back in our day, Gevalia, which was a huge company out of, was it Sweden or... I think it's Sweden. Anyhow, out of Europe somewhere. They had the subscription service, and you would get like a coffee maker with it or a grinder. And so people would sign up for it because of the freebie. And then Gevalia's hope was that their coffee was good enough that they kept people. And they did. Their coffee was, in the day, was actually pretty good. Not the best, but good. I know that my grandparents got Gevalia for a while. And a lot of people ended up sticking it out, and Gevalia actually made a big brand out of it. Since then, they were purchased. I want to say it was Procter & Gamble. I could be wrong on that. But they were purchased by a large company. Their coffee quality definitely went downhill. And, they're not really what they were. But that said, back at that point, we built our coffee company, and our model was very much built off of Gevalia's, except we didn't give free coffee makers and free grinders and whatnot because they were cheap, and the ones that Gevalia gave out were cheap, and that's really the only way to make that model work. And we were all about quality with our coffee. So a really cheap, blade grinder or a really cheap burr grinder wasn't going to cut it. So we ended up spending a lot of money and a lot of time trying to figure out how to grow our subscription service. And it was painful for a couple years. Now, the reality is, it shouldn't take a couple years. We didn't know what we were doing. We were also blazing a trail back then. Now, a lot of places do it. And it's pretty straightforward what people respond to. So, I bunny trailed a bit, but this is all a good setup. So I'm talking with this potential client, and I'm telling them how they need to do recurring revenue. And the guy listens to me. He's super, it was a good conversation. I liked him. He was a very nice, sometimes you talk to a new client and they're reserved or they're just not fun to talk to people. He was super attentive. We actually had probably too long of a conversation, but he sat there and listened to me, really thought through what I said, and then he made this comment, which I had not ever had somebody present me with this specific comment. He said, okay. And he by the way, he understood the time to grow. He knew that. He knew that before I started telling him. He was saying, yeah, so this is going to probably take a minimum of a year to get going, right? And I'm like, yeah, at least a year. And he's like, okay, so I can go out and in the same amount of time easily land 2 wholesale accounts that will do the same amount of dollar business that I can get in a year of working at the subscriptions. He's like, I do a lot of wholesale. I know how to do that. I'm good at sales. So I know that it will take me far less work to get the same amount of revenue landing 2 wholesale accounts than it would for me to get this thing going in the first year. And I kind of got caught off guard because it's like, well, yeah, you're right. How do I respond to that? This is my whole business model, and you just threw me for a loop. Now, obviously, we do wholesale websites. We do everything when it comes to e-commerce. But my specialty and Wapiti's specialty is in recurring revenue and how to set up the right systems for repeat business, repeat sales. So let me go back here. Let's do. How do I change webcam? We're gonna go transform, and we're gonna go fit to screen. And then we're going to hide the desktop and transition that in. Okay, cool. I'm learning something here. Where's that frame? Okay, I guess the frame is what it is. Got this neon glow going around. I'll have to come up with my own stuff eventually once I've been doing this longer. So, yeah, threw me for a loop. I was not sure what to respond to what he said, or how to respond to it. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I was like, but with recurring revenue, you keep working at it and it gets better every year. And he's like, yeah, I get that, but with wholesale, I keep working at it and it gets better every year too. And anyhow, I started kicking myself a little later after we got off the call. It was a good call. We may or may not work together, but I still am proposing to him just kind of standard e-commerce work. But I was kicking myself later because there is a true reason why you would choose, if you had to choose. Now, I'm a big believer in doing multiple things. If you're going down just one path, now there's one thing to have a niche with your business, like ours is recurring revenue, but it's another to say, when in a marketing aspect, I'm only doing Facebook ads, or I'm only selling my products to this venue, even when there's a whole nother venue that's ripe and ready for sales. There are times where picking one or two things is important, but more often than not, diversifying, just like in life, diversifying is an important way to handle your business. And so afterward, I'm thinking, man, what he said was super basic. I should have had a response ready, but I didn't. And it was because what he said was technically true. Now, here's the part that I kicked myself with afterward, and that's this. Let's say you get 10 wholesale accounts in a year. It doesn't take a lot for a wholesale account, especially in the business that this gentleman's in, for a wholesale account to say, I'm going to try something else. Or maybe they had a couple customers who didn't like change and griped about it, and they immediately say, hey, you know what? We got to go back to what we had. Now, obviously, wholesale accounts, like any customer, you have to work. You have to spend time, helping them with their problems, talking to them, checking in on them. When it comes to subscription, though, you can do all of that digitally. You can communicate with 1,000 people digitally in less time than it takes for you to go communicate with one wholesale customer one time. Because they're all in the same boat, and one good email covers that all. With wholesale accounts, there are so many things that are custom and so much built on relationship, which relationship's good. So I don't want to come across like I'm bashing relationships. Once again, I think that focusing on wholesale and recurring business is the right way to go. But there's so much time, energy, and so forth spent on each wholesale customer that when you lose one, it's a big loss. Now, if you have 1,000 subscription customers, or 100 subscription customers, or 10 subscription customers, if you lose one, it's not a big loss. Obviously the scale matters more. If you lose one and you only have 10, you lost 1/10 of your income. Although if you've only got 10, you're not having a viable thing going just yet. But once you hit, 50, 60, and if you're making, let's say $20 per shipment, and let's say you're doing it monthly. So at 50, that's $1,000. It's not a ton, but you've got income happening from it. And that's per month. So you're now up $12,000 a year. And if you lost one, you're not up 12,000, but you're, 11,000, whatever. I don't want to do the math. But the point is it's a very small percentage versus if you got 10 wholesale clients in that period and you lost one, you lose 1/10 of your business because you're not going to get wholesale clients to the same scale, typically to the same scale as you would with a recurring revenue business setup. So I wish that had kind of occurred to me to talk to him about that specifically. And once again, not to convince him not to do wholesale. As a matter of fact, if it's that easy for him, he needs to do that. That's probably going to be his primary sales. But having multiple streams of revenue is important for a business. And the thing I like about recurring revenue business, so I kind of went off into my story here just because it's been in my head. But to talk about recurring revenue, because recurring revenue doesn't necessarily mean the same thing to everybody. Recurring revenue is the ability to make money ongoing from a particular client. It's usually from a client. I'm sure you can come up with other ways to say that. But the ability to have somebody sign up for your service, your product, your educational course, or donate to your nonprofit on a monthly basis, or weekly basis, or annual basis. Those are all recurring revenue models. And so with Wapiti, like I can use Wapiti as an example and be kind of more specific so that I'm not picking on people directly. I have single revenue attached to recurring revenue as part of my model. When you work with Wapiti, we will build the site, whether it's e-commerce website, a brochure website, whatever. We will build that website, but then services, hosting, domains, like we do all the bits and pieces so that the business owner doesn't have to think about those. Those are all done on a recurring basis. Hosting and services, our business stays afloat on our hosting and services plan. We don't make a lot of money, but in bulk, it brings in enough revenue to keep things moving so that if we have an off month or two, which we haven't had in years, but if we were to have an off month or two, we would be fine. It wouldn't affect our bottom line in the end, or it would affect our bottom line. It wouldn't affect our viability. We wouldn't be afraid of what was going to happen. If we had an off year, as long as we didn't lose any clients, we wouldn't be afraid of what was going to happen, although an off year would bring different fears. And that's on purpose. Recurring revenue is both good for the customer, the recurring charges, and they're good for the business. So let's talk about why that is. Look at Netflix, for example. Netflix is kind of the de facto standard when you think of a recurring revenue business. Everybody pays, keeps going up. I'm not even currently subscribed to Netflix. I kind of come and go depending on what shows I want to watch. But everybody pays, $15 to $20 to get access to a huge library of content. And that library of content is being updated continually, new shows coming out. I don't even know what the latest new show is. Back the last time I subscribed, it was Squid Game. I never even really wanted to watch that. So, but that was kind of the big crazy thing. And, Black Mirror just came out with a new season that's tempting me to resubscribe. You're subscribing because you're paying in order to get new content. And paying for that content is incredibly cheaper than paying for cable, for example. Now, if you have cable and Netflix, that's a whole nother thing. A lot of people do, myself included, when I do get Netflix. But the amount of content you're getting for the amount you're paying is actually a value in comparison to other things. Now, you can argue whether or not you're interested in the shows. Okay, that's fine. But so for the customer, you're typically getting a discount. Not all subscriptions do that, but you typically do. Think Amazon Subscribe and Save. When you go to subscribe to a product, it's usually like a 10% discount. I have clients, which we'll probably highlight later. I want to keep this one a little more generic, but I have clients who offer Subscribe and Save and have a discount. So you typically get a discount because that entices the customer to sign up. And the reason why the business wants to entice it is because if somebody, if you have a product that somebody wants on a regular basis, they may go, oh, I'm so glad I have this product. This was so, let's go back to my old days in coffee. I'm so glad I bought this coffee. It's delicious. Life happens. You run out. You run to the grocery store. You pick up a bag of Starbucks on the shelf. Life happens, you're low on coffee, or you're at the grocery store, you see Starbucks, you're like, I better reload. Soon enough, you've forgotten that specialty coffee brand that you had that you loved, and you're buying grocery store junk, for lack of a better phrase. Not that Starbucks is junk, that's a debate, but coffee in grocery stores is typically the worst of the worst. So that customer who loved your product and would be willing to buy more, life got in the way, and they just went the easy route. And so with Subscribe and Save type business, subscriptions, monthly recurring revenue, annual recurring revenue, bi-monthly recurring, whatever the process is, you're basically allowing that person to love your product and not forget about it, and get a discount because they're subscribing. So your business can guarantee, within reason, guarantee your revenue month to month. And your customer, within reason, can guarantee that they're not going to run out of what they like. Now, obviously, if the customer has, 12 dinner parties and coffee's gone immediately, that's why the systems we build allow for scenarios like that and adjustment quickly. But and then of course with your business, if you do something horribly wrong, you can lose a whole ton of customers as well. But that's the power, that's the beauty of recurring revenue. And so that's kind of why I kind of wanted to call this YouTube video by the name I did. Kind of a clickbaity looking cover, but it's not clickbaity because that's specifically what I want to talk about. Yeah, so I think with that, that's kind of the gist of where I wanted this conversation to go. I'm still kicking myself that I didn't have a good response. And in fairness, he had a good response. Like, it was enough to throw me. And after having done this for so long, you'd think I'd have some sort of good comeback. But I didn't. Nobody's really just said, hey, I'd rather keep putting my energy in this because it's measurable to me right now. Whereas, what you're suggesting will be measurable, but it isn't currently. I don't know what I'm getting into. Most businesses look and say, hey, a way to make money ongoing, I'm in. And then they don't. And honestly, I commend this guy. Like, to look at it as more than just this is a way to make money ongoing, and say, hey, how does this actually work? What's going to have to go into this? There's a lot of people who don't do that. There's a lot of people, I have clients who haven't put the thought work into it. And once the site's built, I get, emergency emails like, hey, we got to figure out how to get this going. And of course I always help out. It's not what we do. We're not really a marketing company, but I do have so much experience, especially in the coffee industry. If coffee customers, which I have quite a few, if coffee customers want, advice and to talk, if it's like a major conversation, we do consulting, but typically I don't mind throwing out some pointers here and there just to help them get going. But yeah, it's super important to know where you want to end up in the end, not to just build the system and hope and pray, kind of like that IBM commercial. I think I was thinking about working today and leaving the stream running. The problem I could run into is I don't want to reveal things that I shouldn't be revealing on a stream. So I don't know. I want to work. So one of the things I'm doing for my business. So now that my talk is over and I'm still streaming and nobody's watching, so this is cool. One of the things that I want to do for my business is we just recently rebuilt our website. Let's see here. We're going to go visual desktop and we're going to go webcam group. Over here, just select the group and I can just, oh, that's so much easier. Okay. Figuring it out as I go. I'm going to put this down in the bottom left corner here. Make it a bit smaller. All right, let's transition over here. So I recently rebuilt my website here. The previous website, I wonder if Internet Archive helps to spell. I wonder if my old website is still accessible. Archive websites. So just so I can compare, because I really did like my old website. So having a new website has been, it's nice. I like my new website too. My old website just didn't reflect my business. And it's loading, kind of. Yeah, hey, it's almost, ooh, stuff's coming in. Sometimes Internet Archive doesn't pull through things like you would hope. But yeah, my old website, I really liked the design and the flow. Like it was designed nicely. Unfortunately, this particular design doesn't really scream e-commerce, and a lot of my marketing was kind of all over the place because I started more as like, see here, email marketing and digital marketing. I don't do digital marketing anymore. I decided to niche into where my specialty is and pull some of that out. And so with that, yeah, the look and the design is as cool as I liked it. It just wasn't there. So now you can see I have a very similar, like colors and layouts and stuff are similar, but it is a completely different website, using, more specifics on e-commerce and less so on design elements. Highlighting a partnership I've got going with Iowa Rush Soccer Club, where basically I'm consulting with their team, and in exchange, they're putting my logo on their jersey. Let's see here. Oh, I don't want to go pull up my email. I don't want stuff on stream that it shouldn't be. But that said, one of the things I'm trying to work at here is marketplace, is building an online marketplace. And I've just got started, so this looks hideous right now. But an online marketplace for Wapiti and for my clients, so that I can have it functions as two things. It will be an actual functioning marketplace. So if somebody wanted to purchase from one of my clients, I would rather them actually purchase on the client's website, but they can actually purchase on my site and purchase from multiple clients. So for example, I work with a lot of coffee companies. If somebody wanted to try 4 or 5 different coffees, or 10 different coffees, they can come in and pick a coffee from each one of those companies, check out as a single checkout, and then they'll get shipments from each company. But that allows them the ability to shop in a single place and still support my clients. So I'm not expecting this to take off and be big. I'm not building it for that reason. I'm building it more as a proof of concept, because the marketplace model is something that we are very strong in. And so if you were wanting to build like a mini Amazon.com, or even something highly more specific, but that has a multi-vendor marketplace feel like Amazon.com, we can build that for you. We can build you an Amazon.com. It doesn't have to be a mini one. But the multi-vendor marketplace is kind of a newer field for us. We've been working in them for about 3 years now. And so unlike everything else we've been working in for 20 plus years. So I've been wanting to build one and list my client stuff, and in this case I put a couple placeholder things, and I have to fix the design still, but you can kind of see the overall design is borrowed from my existing site, and everything else needs to be edited and changed. So I was thinking about working on this on stream. The other thing I wanted to do is build an actual like recurring revenue e-commerce also, because I want to do more than just say we can do this, look at some examples. I want to say we can do this. Here's an actual live demo on our site that is fully functional, that you can buy from. In the case of a subscription e-commerce, it would probably be Wapiti products. Something like this silly sticker. If you wanted to get one a month, you could do that, or what have you. But the idea in the end is to display our expertise right there on our own site, and also provide links off to client sites. So I do recommend, if you do end up watching this into the future, I recommend checking out our site. I recommend going to the portfolio page, not to hire Wapiti. Yes, I want you to hire Wapiti, but that's not the point. It's really worth looking through and seeing the different work that has been done for different clients, because our clients are really different. The same gentleman that I was talking about earlier with my wholesale versus recurring revenue conversation, he looked at a few examples of my sites, and he's like, I just want to be honest with you, the design of these sites are nothing that I want. And that doesn't surprise me, because it's important to understand that there's what Wapiti would design, which we do have some clients that are exactly what we would design. There's what the client would want, and then there's sometimes a middle ground. So, for example, a Wapiti design, if we look at this Mammoth Burger website, let's see, that just shows kind of the layout of the site here. Let's go to their website, mammothburgerco.com. So Mammoth Burger's in Washington, near our old offices before we moved out to Iowa. And I should clarify, we're distributed, so I should say my old office. But back then I actually had a team in the office. And she has multiple restaurants, so Mammoth isn't the only site we've done for, and they all have the same design element. She wanted to kind of stick with the same look. This is something that we would design, and specifically for this company. So think of a restaurant that's not a chain but has aspirations of potentially being a chain someday. The decor of the inside of the restaurant is very, like you can see from the look here, it has a very repeatable chain look while also being kind of cool and unique. This was kind of our take on how do we build it out so that the restaurant can just be highlighted. So you can come in here and you can see the different things they have on their menu, some really beautiful photography. Pretty straightforward, right? This would be a Wapiti design aesthetic. We'll have other clients. Let's go back. Who I'll pick on one that I actually like their design, even though it wasn't ours. Let's go Shadow Point. So Shadow Point Media is a media company who actually outsources a lot of web work to us. Actually, they don't even outsource. They use Wapiti as their web division, basically. A lot of their projects, maybe not all of them. And with their website, this has a little bit of an element of maybe some things we would do, but this was dictated a lot by the client and what they liked and what they really wanted. And in this case, it worked out really well. I'm quite pleased with how the site looks, with how it functions. Everything is very animated and active. They do a lot of drone videography and photography. They work a lot with real estate. They're actually getting out of just real estate. They're going to keep doing real estate, but they're doing more and more and more all the time. So just the overall design aesthetic of the site, I really like, but this was a customer-driven design, and that's super cool. So there's that. There's customer driven, there's Wapiti driven, and then we'll have some where it's a little in the middle. Let me find one of the in the middles. I don't see a whole lot of in the middle at the moment, which they may not be listed on the site right now. All in Mentoring's in the middle. Let's look at them. So All In Mentoring is a nonprofit based here in Waverly. Oh, they've already updated their image. How cool is that? They're making use. So got my little feedback tool loading because I'm logged in to the site. So we'll just move that off. We do work predominantly in WordPress and WooCommerce. We can work in some other platforms, but we find that for our clients, if you're properly securing, properly backing up, WordPress WooCommerce is the best environment. It's with a little learning curve. It's easy enough for them to make a lot of changes, and it's easy for us to help them out. And it's also easy that if Wapiti were to disappear, for them to go find another web company to help them out. So for us, it's a lot about empowering the client. So you can see this layout was, we actually worked with Aaron Bird, who actually is this gentleman in the picture. He's just a board member there now, but he helped kind of get it started. He had some very, very obvious things he wanted accomplished and some very specific looks that he wanted. For example, he picked all the imagery that was stock. Now I'm glad they're replacing some of the stock with legit images. But like this, for example, is a stock photo. He picked the stock that he wanted to see. He dictated a little bit of the design, but then we also had some of the creative freedom to make this look the way that we wanted to. So so that's a quick example. There's some other sites where the client has asked for a particular design and look that honestly, not my thing. And we try to help the clients out, and we will give them advice. But in the end, if they want something that they want, we'll do what they want. it's important to keep in mind, and a lot of our clients rely on us because our expertise is in selling. So if you're selling something, All In Mentoring's, they're just a nonprofit. They're not really selling, but for example, Fidalgo up here at the top is a big coffee company that we work with. If you're selling something, you want your website to sell. Oh, I didn't want to go into the back end. Let's change that really quick. Go to the front. So if you want your if you want your coffee to sell, in their case, you're going to want to line out a layout that is aimed for selling. Now, Fidalgo is still considered a small roasting company, but they are on the very large size. As a matter of fact, they might be in the mid-range at this size in roasting. They're a decent sized coffee company. They're not Starbucks. They're not Community Coffee. They're not all these other brands, but they do a pretty decent volume. And so their site has more of an Amazon style, like buy from us feel. But this was a layout that we were asked to basically create on our own. So this was our vision for their company. This isn't going to apply to every company. As a matter of fact, I've got a coffee roasting company who I've got a website coming out for, I'm going to say any day. I'd say probably within a couple weeks. That is completely different looking than this. They're more craftsman. It's more of a website you would expect to see with somebody who's maybe a woodworker or somebody who's very much a skilled craftsman in their zone. So just kind of examples of what kind of work we do, and what you can expect if you're going to hire a company that does e-commerce. You want to make sure that they have the expertise to do it. Even if you want to dictate it, you want to make sure they have the expertise to do a good job on their own, because inevitably there's going to be things that you're going to rely on them for that you didn't think about. So, all right, I'm going to take a brief intermission here, and I will be back shortly. So let's see here. How do I do this? All right, so I'll be back. All right, that was a little longer than I intended. Let's see, we're gonna go back to live and transition in. So now you can see my my tool here. Let's go webcam group. We're gonna go transform, fit to screen. We're gonna go ahead and hide the desktop and transition that in. There we go. So one of the things that I do need to do today is I brought my camera out with me. It's an older camera, but it's a really nice one still. It's a D610, Nikon D610. It was, probably still is, it was Nikon's cheapest full frame sensor camera. And that's why I bought it when I did. I really, really like it though. Good camera. But I took some photos and I'm gonna pop those into my Mac. Oh, except this thing is covering it. I don't want to unplug. Oh, it's got its own. Okay. We'll do that. There we go. So before I start showing screens and showing off how bad my photography skills are sometimes, I want to just make sure I'm not showing anything that I don't want to show. Import all new photos. Let's go ahead and import those. All right, I think that will do. I don't know, I forgot to delete them. Oh wait, here, let's try this. Import. Did I just double up? Yeah, I just doubled up. Maybe. Maybe. Maybe not. Alright. Okay. So you can't see what I'm doing. I'm importing photos into my photo library. No, it doesn't want to eject. Come on, eject, eject. There we go. I took some photos of my office. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Wapiti's distributed. So I'm the owner of Wapiti, and I work out of a converted shed. Let's see here. Go back here. Let's do re-enable desktop. Shrink down the camera. Oh, that's just the frame. I don't want to shrink down just the frame. I want to shrink down the whole thing. I'm still not sure what I think about this frame. Maybe. And we'll transition to that. So next to my office, my wife's actually made some planters, which is kind of cool. So you see a bunch of growing like zucchini and whatnot happening down here. But let's see. Yeah, I double imported. No fun. All right, that's fixable. I thought it would catch the double import. For as smart as Apple seems to be on some things, they're not very smart on others. And some of these photos aren't great, so we'll see how my editing programs can save my bottom. So this is boring, but hey. Go here. My setup here. And that. Okay. So I knew that first photo wasn't great because I didn't have my camera set right. So it's very cold and weird looking. Actually, that could be used for a specific purpose. I tend to like my stuff a little bit more warm and inviting. So this is literally the setup I'm using right now. I'm on my MacBook Pro. I have my iPad Pro set next to it with, I should be using it rather than the program because I can mean, I can hit transition and transition this thing right there, which I just transitioned to what I've got going. But I can, like, you know, disable the webcam really quick, disable the desktop view really quick. I should be using this. You know, I'm new to it all, so why not? But I'm going to go ahead and go full screen mode here. I want to... Do I still have... I don't have DxO anymore. Let's get that going here. App Store. And we're going to go DxO. And it doesn't have a great rating, but I actually like it personally. Why is the rating so bad? I know the actual DxO, like the full-fledged DxO app, is super expensive, and apparently, at least it used to be amazing. I don't know if it's... I haven't done the research in quite a few years at this point. Ever since phone cameras got nuts, I haven't really pulled this camera out very often. And I used to, I mean, I was getting pretty good with it once upon a time. I mean, I'm just shooting in auto mode now. That's how off the mark I am. But why is it staying on when I turn it off? Off. Okay, I guess it is off. And where is my lens cap? That's also, oh, here it is. It's also something that needs to be handled. Okay, so I'll just open this real quick to make sure it loads. What's it saying? Yep, launch photos. Okay. So do I have access to it now? Let's try quitting photos, close this, and go back to photos. Edit. It should be right here. Yeah, there it is. So the thing I like about the DxO program is it knows my camera and my lens that I'm using. And it can apply some auto changes, which aren't making a huge difference. The clear view is a little too dark, but those couple auto changes are pretty... There you go. So if I press M, you can see how it darkens a bit. I'll kind of... Is it warping it a little? Like the whole thing's moving. Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and save that. I do like just the default thing it does. And sometimes I'll retouch a little more. The other thing I do like to do from time to time is to pull the saturation down a little. So like take the color down. Like I like how that looks. Now, I'm not going to do that for these, but I do like muting color on photos. I don't know what that is, but it's just a thing that I really like. So we'll come here. Now it's kind of a crooked shot, but why not? I'm not a photographer. I can see good things, so I can tell that this isn't a great picture, but from a photography stance, it's just not me. So what we'll do is we'll save the corrections here, and then we'll go to the crop section. And this used to have an auto straighten. That looks probably right about there. Yeah, it looks a little better. See, you can make it. So this, I had told it to focus on the screen, which it was supposed to. And then right as I took the picture, I saw the little like boxes change over to the window. So it actually focused outside the window on the back deck of my house, and not on the screen in my office. So we'll see what we can do to revive this if anything. Turn on clear view. No, clear view is bad. So we'll just go with that for now. It's also a crooked, man, my pictures are all crooked. Let's see what we can do. We'll lighten this up a little bit. How bad's the distortion? Not too bad. The no curves, no. Where's the contrast levels? Maybe I'll pull the color back. No, although I do like that. That's not what I want. I'll reset that. How come I can't find the... Where? I got to get used to this program apparently. White balance, curves, levels, definition. Apple, where do you keep the contrast on this thing? Woo! Why is it hard to find the contrast? Well, let's go ahead and get this straightened a little bit. Oh, did it just auto straighten? Hang on. Reset. Oh, it's when I click it just. Kind of a weird picture to make straight because I did it from an angle, so maybe it's not going to be a good picture in the end. Probably stick with that. Ow. Black and white. Oh. Ooh. Ah, there it is. Contrast needs to come down. There we go. I figured it out. So now I probably need to make the saturation heavier a little bit. Maybe pull the vibrance back and the saturation up. No. What if I take the vibrance and push it up? No. Not liking this. Let's see what auto does. No, definitely don't like auto. So saturation way down. What's cast do? I don't even know what cast. Ooh, that's a little better. Cast, okay. Okay, and now just overall lightness needs to increase. Exposure. Not a great picture. We'll just stick with that and call it good. All right. It did it again. It's doing it on every one of my photos. Turn up the exposure. My door looks gross. Those little marks. This one's going to get deleted. What was that? Option delete? Command delete. There we go. Man, I am not at all impressed with my photography skills. I was so much better once upon a time. Yeah, let's do this. Let's see if I can fix this. Hey, this might actually kind of do it. Kind of. Maybe crop it in since I'm already. This one I'm not sure that this will have any use in my life, but I took the picture, so let's just hang on to it for now. So this picture, this is cool. So back when we lived in Washington, my wife was a big part of the MOPS group. So if you don't know what MOPS is, it's called Mothers of Preschoolers. Typically held at churches, and it's a group of women who don't have day jobs often because most of the meetings, at least this group, most of the meetings were in the day. Actually, there's groups here that are in the evening, so that probably does not apply to all. But they can come and meet with each other, spend time together, talk about the Bible, have their kids raised in a nice, or not raised, but socialize together in a environment that's, supporting of our belief system and so forth. And this, I want to brighten this up because the crop's good. Let's go to adjust. Okay, we're going to brighten it up. There we go. So this was a piece of art done by an artist who I do not know. His signature, or her signature, I don't even know if it's a him or her. Their signature is down here. But it's called Exploring the Gift of Life. And it was done to celebrate life of all ages. So you've got like an older gentleman here. You've got a little child here. People in the middle. One of the things that's been a big thing with me is life in general. Like supporting human life, if that makes any sense. I'm a big proponent of the family unit. And so things like abortion are not cool in my book, because to me that's destroying a human life in the womb. Same with euthanasia. Like obviously there could be debate on quality of life at a certain point. I'm not trying to get into politics here. I realize I am starting to touch on a lot of it, but the whole idea of celebrating the life that God's given us is just an exciting thing to me. Not afraid of death, but also, man, life is pretty cool. It's pretty miraculous. Like the fact that something as complex as a human exists is pretty slick, pretty sweet. So this photo, I actually won in a bid. I way overbid for it, but it was fun. They had an auction. It was a good memory. All right, moving on. Ooh, it's my coffee / other stuff shelf and area. So let's see. This one's not too bad. Lighting's a little dark maybe, but let's see what DxO does to it. All right, we'll go with that. And what if I brighten it just a touch? Yeah, that's better. It does need a slight adjustment there. Yeah, I like that. Still not done. I might remove a little color from this. I don't know. Its vibrancy is kind of what's cool about it, though, right? So this bag is and I'm not going to pull it down right now. You can see it in the picture. This bag is handmade in Guatemala. It is an actual coffee burlap sack that some people in Guatemala made, and I was lucky enough to be able to purchase it, and yeah, it's just kind of fun. I'll never use it as a backpack, although it's fully usable. You can see the zippers up here. I have the strap, one of the straps of the backpack, just kind of holding it onto the shelf, but it also has a pouch down here, so it's fully usable. To me, it was just more kind of cool. This little jar was actually given to me by my business partner from one of his trips that I did not go on. I don't remember what country that's from. This was from Nicaragua. That was a cool gift when we went to a farm there that was supported by the nonprofit Agros, which is, I don't know much about them anymore, but back in the day they were pretty cool. So we've got a stovetop espresso maker, kind of more of a show one. I think it works, but I'm never going to use it. This cup is from Huehuetenango. You can see it down here, Huehuetenango. That's Guatemala. Good coffee growing region, by the way. This, here, I can actually go get this really quick. Grab a few things so we can kind of look through them. Better make sure I'm still like visible. I didn't turn off my, okay, so my camera's still down here at the bottom. So this right here, you can see it says Finca Vista Hermosa. This was given to me by a gentleman named Edwin. His family owns a farm in Guatemala called Finca Vista Hermosa. And it's in the Huehuetenango region. You can actually barely see it. I don't know if this is going to come through in the camera, especially with the little picture, but it says Huehuetenango, Guatemala. What this is used for is when you get your coffee bags, you can actually stick it in between the burlap like this, and then you can actually get a sample of the coffee beans to see the quality. So burlap sacks typically, from Guatemala, I want to say they're typically about 152 pounds. They measure them in kilos, and I, as an American, I never did fully learn the kilos of the coffee bags, but and they're about 152 pounds, 153, something like that. It's been 10 years since I was roasting last. Well, it's been a lot longer than 10 years since I roasted last, but it's been 10 years since I was in my business. But you could stick this in and just get a few beans so that you can see a sample of the quality of the coffee you're getting, because inside the bag you can't really see it. You're trusting. So he had some custom made ones to share with clients, and we bought his coffee for a while. He actually, I think he owns Onyx Coffee Importers, if I remember correctly now. And he does importing from other places, not just his family farm. Anyhow, good memories. He was a super nice gentleman. I like that. Also picked up, so that's what this silver thing here is in the picture. Next to it is this journal, or it's just like a notebook. Once again, I don't use these things ever, so it's literally like empty pages with like a little map of Nicaragua, little like mappy shape in the background, just light. Looks kind of like a coffee stain. It's kind of getting warped with time, but it's a leather-bound notebook. You could actually take the notebook out pretty easily. It's just a cheap notebook inside the leather-bound case, and it snaps on. So you can see my coffee roots here. I got a lot of coffee stuff left over. I also got this this tray here. You can see it right here, and it is supposed to be, it's wood. All of this is wood, but the tray is supposed to be in the shape of like a banana leaf or a leaf of some sort. I think it was a banana leaf. Or was it a coffee leaf? Yeah, it doesn't look anything like a coffee leaf. A huge one, maybe. Anyhow, inside are little wooden coffee cherries. So when you pick coffee from the tree, it typically will look something like this, which is a little red berry. They call it a cherry because it kind of looks like a cherry. And inside are 2 coffee beans that are like this. So if you think of the coffee bean, you got your rounded side, and then you got the side with the crack in it. They're like this, and then there's an actual like membranous plant that comes from the cherry and goes into the crack to provide nutrients to the bean. Is actually a seed. I don't know why we call them coffee beans, but that's what we do. They're actually the seed of the fruit on a coffee tree. So this is basically to represent a ripened cherry. I don't know what this represents. It's kind of like ripe, not kind of ripe, unripe, all in one. I'm sure they exist on the tree, but generally this is probably not true. And then this is to represent an unripe coffee cherry. So whoop, right as they are growing on the tree, as the cherry comes out, it's green before it then goes yellow and then turns red and ripes. So I've always liked this. My kids, they love to mess with me. I keep them. I don't know if I can show this. I don't know if this is coming through, but I keep them in an order because it's how my brain works. Everything's got an order to it. And my kids love to mix it up and drive me nuts. So there's that. Otherwise, I'm probably giving away more information than anybody cares, but my shelf has a lot of coffee history. This is kind of cool. This is an elk antler that was created into a stand. There's a letter opener with an elk handle, and then the pin is actually a bullet with elk. I'm not a big hunter. I know everything's elk themed, Wapiti and so forth, but I'm not a hunter. I don't actually enjoy killing things. It's not a thing that I realize it happens, and I'm not offended by it, but it's also not what I want to do. So I'm not entirely certain about the whole bullet part, but the whole thing was super cool. So it was made by an artist in the town that we moved from. So anyhow, I think that picture's pretty good. Let's move on. Enough show and tell. My fireplace. Do I like this photo? Why not? I'll let I'm sending these to my social media team, just to have some things to work with, and I'm mostly just wanting to make sure that they have. This looks better darker. Have stuff, and if they don't like it, they cannot use it. So eventually, I'm going to have to hire a professional photographer, but for now, I'm the not professional photographer doing the photography. Let's see, we'll go darker on that too. It brings the wood color out so much more. Ooh, my baseboard popped up. I've got repair work to do in this here office. So there is my desk. We're going to go ahead and let's see here. We're going to save that change. And I kind of like the just goofy angle of everything. I think I'm going to stay with that. And this is this guy back here. Just from an angle, we'll just do the DxO changes, and I think I'll just leave it. It was meant to be kind of a wonky angle on purpose. This is a straight on. I do want to get rid of the mini split from the photo. So let's get this. Let's see, what does a clear view do? Yeah, do I like the clear view? Yeah, I like the clear view. Brings out the texture in the wall. And then we're gonna crop this sucker. We're gonna keep it to the original aspect. Maybe do that. How's that look? You know, I don't know. We'll go back to freeform and we'll just bring the bottom up. Okay. So that is done. I probably should do the vertical a little. That. That'll have to do. All right, so here is Wapiti HQ. Thank you very much. Now this is so I bought a like a garden shed that they called the Playhouse style because it has a little porch, and it was completely unfinished on the inside. It was painted, so that much was nice. The outside looked just like this, with the exception of installing a different lock and a little mailbox and my motion sensor light. But other than that, this looked how it did. And I actually ran electrical. I ran Ethernet for internet. I did have an electrician run electrical to the building from the house, but I did the inside of the building. Had a couple buddies help me do the insulation and drywall and the texturing and the painting and the flooring, and turned it into a pretty cool spot. Installed lighting, installed a ceiling fan. Pretty excited. I love this building. Probably more because I was so involved in making it, but it's definitely a cool deal here. So let's see here. Do I want to darken it? No, I think dark's not good. Definitely needs something. Bright won't be good either. Maybe up the brilliance. Up the brilliance and up the down the shadows. And contrast a little more. Ooh, yeah, that looks cool. A little distressed looking, but not bad. And do I want to... No, I don't. Okay, we're going to leave that alone. All right, next one. Another view. This one definitely needs to get straightened, but before I do that, I want to do my DxO. All right, save. All right, so we're going to straighten this out. I think that works about right for me. Let's head over to the adjust. I think I'm okay with the color in that. I don't know, maybe I'll up the brilliance again and up the contrast. A little more brilliance. All right, we'll go with that. This was me playing. I actually didn't even look. I just put the camera down on the ground, held it, and then snapped the photo. So let's just play with it, give us something to look at, and probably send it to the social media team to throw away and not use, but I'll have it made. So with this, I definitely want to do some straightening. It's actually looking kind of cool. So the path here was recently put in, and so we've been watering the grass all around it because there was like a zone on either side of the path that had fresh dirt and grass seed, but no grass. So you're not supposed to mow over freshly planted grass. Hence the massive tall, I actually think it's a weed. It might be grass. It's kind of goofy looking. That's on the left side of this picture. You can see some on the right too. We recently, so I have my kids do the mowing, which is wonderful from a dad perspective. I do like to mow, but I'm teaching them some kind of life skills and stuff. And my daughter is the boss. and my son works for her, and their job is to mow my lawn. So my son did his part, which was right up to here, just yesterday, and today my daughter's going to do her part, which is over here. So that's why my lawn looks weird. Just random explanation, because those things kind of get me. All right, so back to the adjust. This needs some. Let's go light up. Oh, that looks weird. No, let's undo that. If I hit auto, yeah, it's adding like a thing there. It's up the brilliance is doing it. Okay, so reset. We're gonna go contrast first. We're gonna up the shadows. Down the highlights. No, upping the highlights does not work. Yeah, the second I add brilliance, there's this. You see this like dark mark that's appearing, right in this zone here. I'm pointing, and you can't see where I'm pointing. That's kind of crazy. Ooh, the exposure is good. So if I do exposure and then maybe contrast, and I need to punch the color here. Well, I don't want to punch it in the grass though. Let's go to selective color. And let's choose the gray. And we're going to go, okay, selective color. We're going to choose this woodish color. Oh, not what I wanted to do. Woodish color. We're going to go. Oh, that's punching everything quite a bit. All right, let's go up to the darker gray. We're going to make that hue. Oh, not the hue. I'm choosing the wrong thing. Saturation. Oh, it's not. All right, we're going to find this. We're going to go gray. Okay. So if I go saturation. Okay, that's better. So now, if I go to white balance. No, I'm going to come back up here. Up the brightness a bit. No, that's too much. Up the highlights. No, that looks awful. That doesn't look good either. I think this might be what we're getting here. Okay, we're going to just go with that. Once again, me being the professional photographer and editor that I'm obviously not. So this, it's a really washed out color. So let's just see what the auto does. Yeah, the auto didn't make it much better. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and do some adjusting. This was another one of those no look, take a photo. We'll go with that. Okay. Maybe put a black and white filter. That might look kind of cool. I like that silver tone. We'll just stick with that. Okay. Moving on. All right. DxO. Okay, we'll just do the auto again because it just makes things look a little better. And I definitely want to probably punch the color a little. That's nice. And you can see what I was saying here. So you see like this almost like weed looking grass layer that started growing in right here. And over here, it's there, but it's a little better because it was just mowed. You can see the grass over here is longer and the grass over here is shorter. It's not the most amazing photo that I've ever, a photo of my lawn that I've ever had, but whatever. All right, I think I'm just gonna go with that. This is a good picture. I just need to punch it up a little bit. Let's see what Clearview does on this one. Yeah, Clearview is too dark. Okay, so we're going to save that. Now I want to lighten the whole sucker up. Oh, why is it bringing in look at that vignette on the side. It's like awful. That's weird. The AI on this is just not great. It's the brilliance, I bet. Yeah, it's the brilliance. All right, so we're going to go down and we're going to bring the brightness up quite a bit. No, I think we're going to leave the contrast alone. And I think we're going to leave the black point alone as well. But I do want to bring up the color just a little. Okay. Waverly Chamber of Commerce. Now my door, it just, remember, it's a shed. It wasn't made to be like a almost residence. Like, I mean, I spend a ton of time in here. I've got AC, I've got heat, I've got, maybe I'm going to crop this down and get rid of the, the point of this picture is to show that I am a standing member of the Waverly Chamber of Commerce. Maybe, oh, let's go square. Square. Let's do that. All right, we're going to adjust. And now, oh, did I cropped? I prematurely cropped. Reset. Okay. I didn't DxO this, did I? Yeah, it didn't. Okay, that makes the green a little punchier. All right, so now I'm going to go square. Oh, come on, Apple. Come on, where's my picture? What's going on? Okay. Crop. Square. Thank you. So let's get rid of some of the... This is the magic of photographers who know what they're doing. I'm showing how a photographer doesn't know what he's doing can still make things look better than they actually are. Well, imagine if I was an actual, like, trained, skilled photographer. A little bug or something right there. That works. Okay. Once again, probably won't get used, but... oh, did I not... Okay, it's just going to zoom in. Okay. So I'm going to lighten this up quite a bit. I'm actually going to punch the color down on this. No, I'm not. I do need to bring, like, saturation. Saturation? No. Is it too vibrant? I want to bring brightness up. Go with that. Unfortunately, you could see all the, like, dust specks on my window. I probably should have, like, washed my windows before. Well, okay, there we go. And this, I don't know why I have this. We're going to delete that photo. This one, I know why I have it. Just isn't what I wanted. All right, we'll stick with this. Okay, so DxOing again. By the way, this DxO thing has, like, all sorts of, like, you can customize it more. There's even a custom, like, temperature thing, but I'm not smart enough, so I just kind of use the presets. All right, this definitely is, I mean, the picture wasn't crooked, but the angle just looks, wrong direction. I'm gonna go with that. That just looks straighter. You can see I'm watering the garden right there. Been watering the grass in the garden over there quite a bit. Is that straighter? I feel like I could go a little bit more. Get the grid to disappear. There we go. No, that looks more crooked. 1 degree, really, was all it took. -1 degree. Okay. Sweet. Okay, so come back here. We're going to go a little lighter with this. Let a little sunlight shine. Should throw like a Wapiti logo up there. Yeah, just make it look cheesy on purpose. We're going to add a little bit more color because it actually is a really colorful, bright day today. So I'm not sure why this washed out. And I actually kind of like that. I'm going to stick with that. So that one, I successfully cut off my air conditioning unit. So I have this mini split installed up above. What a mini split does is it heats and AC, does both, or at least this one does. And it has a unit inside and a unit on the back of the building, which acts as this part. 2 months outside of my 1-year warranty, it dies. We find out it has a manufacturer defect. It just took a long time for all the stuff to escape and kill it, because it was a very, very minor, small leak. I contact the manufacturer and I say, look, I realize I'm just outside of the warranty period, but this problem is obviously a problem that was there when I bought the unit. No go. They won't support it. So now I have this big mini split I could have bought a new one, but they're expensive. I mean, this one was inexpensive. It was like $700. Still a lot of money. And then I had to pay an installer another like $400 or $500 to install it and charge it. So I can buy another one, spend another $1,200-$1,300 if I really wanted to. But in the meantime, I went to the local hardware store and I bought that heater that we were looking at earlier. It's a fake heater. It's an LED. Well, it's a real heater. It's a fake fireplace. It's LED lights. And then I can leave the LED lights running through the summer, which is kind of cool. It gives me that fireplace ambiance without the heat. So I've got that. And then I bought this window AC unit that you can see the back of, which the unfortunate part is it does fill my window. Not a big deal, though, because the view out this window is not an exciting view. In the end, the two together cost me like $300. I could buy new ones of those, 4 times over if they die quickly enough. And I'd still only be out the same as buying one new mini split. So I'm kind of at the phase where it's like I'll probably pull this mini split out and patch the wall eventually. But I'm not doing it yet because it's a bunch of work and it's just kind of sitting there. So going with it. That said, I don't know that I really wanted to see. Maybe I'm going to crop this square. I don't know that I really wanted to see. Maybe let's go there. Get a little bit of the window. I don't want to see the AC unit to be fair. -1 again. Just slightly crooked. Okay. So that looks pretty good. Let's add some illumination to that. All I can think of is minions, which I won't even try to mimic. All right. I think the highlights need to be... drop up the shadows. That's what it is. Okay, so let's undo that. I'm going to just up the shadows. And up the contrast. No. Down the contrast. No. Up the brightness. There we go. I think that's... Where's the black point? That looks pretty good. Okay, I'm going to stick with that. My HomePod Minis. I like these speakers. They sit right above my TV. Unfortunately, this is kind of a gross picture because nobody wants to see the wall run. Maybe I go to original and I flip it. Oh no, this is what I want to do. So we're going to keep it at original aspect ratio. What if I don't know. I can let the social media guys say, this is a horrible picture. Leave it with them. The whole reason I'm doing this live streaming thing, by the way, is because the social media guys are like, you need to start doing stuff. I mean, I do stuff, just stuff to help out. And so this will provide some content. And honestly, like I said in the beginning, I did a podcast and I really, really liked it. So I think this might be a good black and white. Where was the other black and white I did? Oh, it was a filter. Let's see what the silver tone looks like. Mono, Noir. Kind of like the Noir on that one, huh? Let's go back to this. Yeah, silver tone doesn't have too much color. The mono's kind of cool looking too. Yeah, I'm all about the Noir on this. Okay, we're going to stick with that for now. Iowa Spurs. Okay, so I'm not a huge member of Iowa Spurs. As a matter of fact, they're all in Des Moines, and that's a 2-hour drive from where I'm at. So I never have ever hung out with them. But for those of you who are Americans, this is not the San Antonio Spurs that we're talking about, and this is not some knockoff Iowan team. This is a soccer team based out of England. And they are one of the bigger clubs in the world. They think they're bigger than they actually are. I tend to think they're bigger than they actually are, but they're still a really big club. They're probably, when it comes to name recognition, they're probably top 20, top 30. In England, They're considered one of the big six, although that seems to be in morph the last couple of years. But by the big six, it's like the top 6 teams in the league generally. Year to year can change up a bit. That said, I am a Tottenham Hotspur supporter. Not a crazy one, because we're going to undo all this. I don't want the filters. Because I don't like my life to be completely saturated by sports, but I do listen to quite a few podcasts. I watch most of the games. So that's kind of what we have here. So let's I have this right above my door. It's just kind of a fun, Clearview really brings out the gross on my door. It doesn't even look like that in real life, so gross. Ugh. I need to paint that door. I really do. Okay. We'll stick with that. A little lighter. I definitely want to bring out the color because it is a blue. There we go. What if I cut off too much square? Okay, we're just going to stick with that. In my Bible, which I posed. I do read my Bible mostly online, though. I posed it just to have a good look. Once again, this is photography to be used, so I want to ensure that stuff looks good. I didn't pose it to make it look like I read my Bible when I don't. I just don't read this specific Bible. I kind of keep it over on top of, this is that heater I was talking about earlier. I keep it on top of there. It's just a reminder to think about God, to think about my beliefs, to do my best with my dealings with my clients to represent the way that I would think would glorify God. So let's lighten this up a bit. And the color might want to come in a little bit more. This might be a nice square picture. Let's see. Pull the square in a little bit more. No, I think we're going to just leave it. Excuse me. Once again, if the social media team wants to change something, they can. All right, that's a good picture. And this did not turn out hugely like I thought it would. So this is the canvas print behind me. The canvas really comes out here. So let's DxO this sucker first. The clear view probably really bring out. Oh no, the clear view is not bad. What else can I do with the clear view? Ooh, let's look at the noise removal. It's not really doing anything because it's not technically noise. I thought it might pull back on the canvas a bit though. And I want to darken this sucker up. And we're going to take all the highlights and darken those. And that's the wrong direction. The highlights go this way. I don't know, that's too much there. Oh, you know what I should be doing is black and whiting this sucker. Let's go look at the... Can't even tell the difference. This one may just not work out. It was fun. It was fun to think of the idea. Nothing's happening. I'm going to take the color. Reset that. Reset this section here. What if I turn down the contrast? Oh, that's crazy what that does. Black point. Let's see, brightness. That's crazy. Yeah, I'm not a smart enough photographer. We're just gonna leave that there and go with it. All right. So I've been waiting for time to bring this out. I'm starting probably to annoy my family and other people, but This little guy right here was my Father's Day gift this year from 2 of my kids. And just wanted to share this with you. See? It's a goat. And the goat stands on this log-looking platform here. And if you push down on the platform, you get a screaming goat. It's pretty awesome, I'm not going to lie. So, am I still... Huh. Am I still streaming here, or am I just talking to myself at this point? Let's look. Yeah, it says I'm still streaming. Can't connect to it, but okay. Anyhow, we'll go back to this. We'll find out if I go and look at YouTube and I've been talking to myself for an hour. I mean, nobody's watching, so I pretty much have been talking to myself for an hour. But, that guy's over there. All right. So, I like the framing of this. You can see all sorts of things. My Bob's Burger daily calendar, my business cards, my goat. So, let's... DxO this thing to start. That makes my website look better. A little dark, but I can fix that after. Okay, so we're going to do that. Then we're going to lighten this. And I definitely want to bring the brightness up. The highlights up. Oh, this is starting to look pretty good. Exposure. Ooh, yeah. That was too much, but a little bit. Where are we at with the brilliance? Okay. And now the color. I'm going to turn the saturation down just a touch. The vibrance down just a touch. Yeah, baby. Okay. I'm happy with that. Woo! Woof. I don't know about this picture. It's a different focal point. You know, and this might actually be a better picture than the one where I just cropped the picture in there, because it doesn't look great with no like point of reference. I think I'm gonna leave clear view. Wait, what does clear view add? Oh man, it makes my wall look like it's super dirty. It is not, by the way. It's just shadowing. We're gonna keep clear view off. The framing is actually really good with this one too. So I gotta do some more of the same from the last. So this up. I like the exposure. Oh yeah, this already looks so much better. My black point looks pretty good. Oh, look, that looks nice. That makes the blacks really rich. Contrast. Yeah, I'll leave that. Overall brightness is pretty good. I mean, that's more what it actually looks like. I don't know why my settings, like even on auto, it's... I got to get myself back into photography if I'm going to actually make a go at that again. All right. And I took this one purposely at an angle. My mic is straight, nothing else is, so I'm not sure what I think about this. It's a weird photo. I'm good at weird photos. We'll just save that. And let's see here. I'm going to lighten that up. Bring the highlights up. Ooh, that's a crisp looking. The color looks good right there. Like just the mic alone is super crisp. Let me see what happens if I straighten this. Does that look better? I mean, it's still straightened to the mic. It's only, oh, it's only -1. That's why. If I straighten to the computer, the mic gets cut off. I do think -1 was slightly better. Okay, we'll stick with that. Moving on, another one, and it's dark. So, I mean, the other was probably dark too, but I am just not going to mess with this because it's literally the same photo. So, goodbye. And I don't want him. That was just a test photo. All right. I don't know that I need to send them my crops here. So, let's just hit done. And, oh, there's a, that was why I took this photo. See that little friend right there? I don't have a telephoto lens, so that was as good as he gets, but a nice little wasp sitting right there on the side. This one might. So this shows where the garden is. So we have 6 planter boxes, or 8 planter boxes? I don't know, my wife manages it. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 8 planter boxes. All just outside my office. You can see the sprinkler. The reason this has this weird like filmy grain is I was going for like something artistic looking. It didn't work out. It just looks like it's dirty. But this is water from the sprinkler giving it this like fuzzy thing. And so this is the view out my other window. There's some apartments behind us that aren't in the best of shape. So this is why I'm not so concerned that my air conditioner plugs that window. All right, we're not going to use that. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and I'm going to go all the way. I did quite a few pictures there. All the way up through here. Oh, I held the wrong button. Let's try again. All right, I got everything. I don't want that photo. That one didn't turn out very good. And I'm going to make a new folder here on my desktop. And I'm going to grab all these. Come on. So I'm using also a beta Mac OS. So, you know, I don't do all the smart things. I don't wait till things are final. I like to play. The geek in me. All right, so let's head back to the desktop here. We're going to put this here. We're going to get rid of ridiculous photos of me. This is the thumbnail I'm using. Fun thumbnail, I think. This has photos, so we're going to say, photos for Shadowpoint. Shadowpoint is who's helping me with my social media right now. Cool, so let's see, let's get transform. We're going to fit to screen. We're going to disable view of the desktop. We're going to go ahead and transition live, and I think this is going to be where I end this. Almost 2 hours for my first stream feels like a good long stream. Matter of fact, I'm using a free plan of Streamlabs. I think it cuts me off at 2 hours, so I'm there. I'm kind of done talking for a while now too. I'm going to go be silent. So hopefully if you do ever watch this in the future, you enjoyed this. At least at the beginning was where the meat was. And yeah, I'll try to do at least one of these a week, if not more frequently.